Welcome to Latino Stories. If you love jaw-dropping HOA drama, you're in the right place. From corrupt board members to outrageous neighborhood disputes, we expose the wildest HOA scandals. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Now, let's dive into today's crazy HOA tale. The furious pounding on my front door rattled the entire house. My heart jumped in my chest as I wiped my hands on my jeans, stepping away from the kitchen sink. The sun was barely up, and I was already dealing with a crisis. Through the peephole, I saw her. Karen, HOA board president. Nose so sharp it could slice through steel. Arms crossed like she was about to hand me a death sentence. And standing beside her, a uniformed animal control officer. My stomach dropped. I cracked open the door just enough to peek out. Morning. Karen didn't return the pleasantries. Instead, she shoved a printed letter in my face, her crimson nails tapping the words aggressively. "You're in violation of HOA regulations," she hissed. "You have exactly 72 hours to remove those filthy farm animals from your property, or suffer the consequences." My eyes flicked to the letter. Immediate removal of livestock. Fines. Legal action. The threat of forced removal. I clenched my jaw. "You mean Cinnamon and Biscuit?" Karen scoffed. "Oh, don't play dumb. Yes, you're disgusting pigs. This is a respectable neighborhood, and we will not tolerate this." I could feel my blood pressure rising. My pigs weren't just pets, they were my babies. They were friendly, house-trained, and honestly more well-behaved than half the people in this HOA. I took a slow breath, my fingers tightening around the letter. "I'm not getting rid of them." Karen's nostrils flared. "Then you leave me no choice." With that, she spun on her heel, marching back down my driveway like a vengeful queen. The animal control officer lingered for a second, giving me a sympathetic look, but then he followed after her. The moment my door slammed shut, I knew this was war. I stormed into my backyard, my hands shaking as I crumpled up the HOA notice. The morning air was crisp, and the scent of fresh hay mixed with the soft earth beneath my feet. Cinnamon and Biscuit, my two beloved pet pigs, trotted up to me, their little tails wagging. "Don't worry, babies," I murmured, scratching behind their ears. "Nobody is taking you away." But as much as I wanted to believe that, I knew Karen wasn't bluffing. She had power. She had connections. And worst of all, she had a personal vendetta. I needed to act fast. First, I grabbed my phone and scrolled through my HOA's official rulebook, the one I had saved in my files for situations exactly like this. I skimmed page after page, and then, there it was. Nothing in the HOA rules explicitly banned pigs as pets. I grinned. If they wanted to fight, I'd fight back with their own rules. But before I could celebrate, I heard a commotion out front. I rushed to my porch, and nearly lost my mind. Karen stood at the edge of my driveway, arms crossed, her phone aimed directly at my house. Beside her was a moving truck, its engine rumbling. "What the hell?" I started, but she cut me off. "You refuse to comply, so we're taking action." Her smile was smug. Too smug. I blinked. "You can't just." "Oh, but we can." She turned to the burly men in uniform behind her. "Go ahead." I watched in horrified shock as the workers started loading my property into the truck. Garden furniture, decorations, even my porch swing. "Are you insane?" I shouted, rushing forward. "This is illegal. You can't just steal my stuff." Karen tilted her head. "Actually, we can. Your property is out of compliance, which means we have the right to begin enforcement." I felt my blood boil. I had never hated anyone more in my life. Then, I saw the tow truck pulling up. Karen followed my gaze and smirked. "Oh, did I forget to mention? Since you refuse to cooperate, we're also issuing a lien against your property and impounding your vehicle." My hands curled into fists. This was war, and I was about to make her regret ever messing with me. I stood frozen on my front lawn, my pulse hammering in my ears as the tow truck backed up toward my driveway. The flashing amber lights reflected off my car's windshield like a warning. If I didn't act now, I was about to lose everything. "Hey! Stop!" I ran forward, planting myself between the truck and my car. The driver, a burly guy in a reflective vest, hesitated, looking at Karen for confirmation. "Proceed," she commanded with a sickening smirk. Oh, she was loving this. The driver sighed. "Sorry, lady. HOA orders." "HOA orders?" I snapped. "Since when does an HOA have the legal authority to impound a resident's car?" Karen crossed her arms. "Your vehicle is parked on HOA property." I laughed, a short, humorless sound. "HOA property? This is my driveway." "It's a shared community road," she countered smoothly. "And per Section 5, Article 12, any vehicle violating HOA aesthetic standards may be removed at the board's discretion." I clenched my jaw. Aesthetic standards? This wasn't about my car, it was about punishing me for defying her. But Karen had underestimated me. I pulled out my phone. "All right, Karen. Since you're so fond of rules, let's play by them." I opened my camera app and started recording. The moment the red light blinked on, Karen's smug expression faltered. "Let's get this on the record," I said, stepping forward. "You're illegally seizing my property because you don't like my pet pigs?" Karen's lips thinned. "This has nothing to do with your pigs." "Oh, really?" I turned my phone to the moving truck, which was still hauling my outdoor furniture inside. "Because this sure looks like theft to me. And last I checked, HOA boards can't just show up and start stealing residents' property." The tow truck driver glanced at me, then at Karen. You sure about this?" Karen's face turned an ugly shade of red. "She's in violation." "Actually," I cut in, flipping to my saved HOA rulebook, "there's nothing in these bylaws that allow you to confiscate personal property. And as for my car, it's registered and legally parked on private property. If you try to take it, that's grand theft auto." Karen's eye twitched. She knew I was right. And now, the whole thing was on camera. The tow truck driver exhaled loudly. "Yeah, I'm not getting involved in this." He climbed back into his truck, shifted into reverse, and drove off. Karen's fists clenched at her sides. "Fine. Have it your way." But as she turned to leave, she muttered under her breath, just loud enough for me to hear, "You'll regret this." Chills ran down my spine. I had won this round, but Karen wasn't done. And I had no idea what she was about to pull next. I barely had time to process Karen's ominous threat before she stormed off down the street, her heels clicking like a countdown to something I knew was coming. Cinnamon and Biscuit snorted softly behind me, their little noses twitching as if they could smell the trouble brewing. "Don't worry, babies," I muttered, still gripping my phone. "She's not gonna win this." But Karen wasn't just going to let this go. I had embarrassed her in front of the entire neighborhood. There was no way she'd walk away without some kind of payback. And that payback, it came at 2 a.m. that very night. I shot up in bed, my heart nearly jumping out of my chest. It wasn't just a knock. It was pounding, furious, like someone was trying to break the door down. I scrambled out of bed, barely registering the time as I rushed to the front door. My phone was already in my hand, thumb hovering over the record button just in case. The moment I pulled open the door, flashlights blinded me. I stumbled back, my mind racing. Cops. 2 uniformed officers stood on my porch, hands resting on their belts. And standing smugly behind them, Karen. Her arms were crossed, her expression dripping with fake concern. "Ma'am," one officer said in a clipped tone, "we received a report of an illegal livestock situation on your property. We need to conduct an inspection." I blinked, still groggy from sleep. "Are you serious? It's 2 in the morning." Karen gasped dramatically, clutching her chest like a soap opera villain. "Oh, don't blame me. Someone," she emphasized the word, eyes twinkling with malice, "must have filed a noise complaint. Apparently, your pigs were screaming all night." I laughed. Not out of humor, out of pure disbelief. "Are you kidding? They've been sleeping inside with me. They don't even oink at night." Karen sighed dramatically. "Oh, but the neighbors are so distressed. I had to call animal control." At that moment, another car pulled up, an animal control officer stepping out with a tranquilizer gun strapped to his hip. My blood ran cold. "No!" I yelled, stepping out onto the porch. "You are not taking them." "Ma'am," the cop said, holding up a hand, "we need to verify the situation. If the animals are creating a public disturbance, we have the right to." "Public disturbance?" I cut him off, turning my camera directly on Karen. "Oh no, no, no. I'm not stupid. This is harassment." Karen smirked but said nothing. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice even. "Do you have a warrant?" The officers exchanged looks. Bingo. "You don't, do you?" I pressed. "Which means you have zero legal authority to step onto my property or remove my pets." The lead cop shifted uncomfortably. He knew I was right. But Karen, she wasn't done. She suddenly pointed toward my backyard. "Oh my God!" she shrieked. "They're getting loose." The animal control officer reacted instantly, reaching for his tranquilizer gun. I ran. I sprinted past the officers, shoving the gate open so hard it nearly flew off its hinges. My heart pounded as I scanned the yard. Cinnamon and Biscuit were right where I left them. Sleeping. Karen lied. She was trying to trick them into shooting my babies. I whipped around, rage boiling in my veins. "You psycho!" Karen gasped, clutching her pearls like she was some innocent victim. I saw them moving." The cops, clearly realizing they had been tricked, sighed. The lead officer turned to Karen. "Ma'am, we're not going to escalate this any further without a valid complaint." Karen's face went pale. But she's breaking HOA rules. The animals." "She's within her rights," the officer said flatly. "Call us again without an emergency, and we'll consider it a false police report." Karen's jaw dropped. I folded my arms, smiling sweetly. "Guess I'll be filing a harassment complaint against you now. Hope your HOA loves bad press." Karen turned on her heel and stormed off. But as she walked away, she hissed under her breath, "This isn't over." And I believed her. I barely slept that night. Even after the cops left, even after I locked every door and double-checked every window, my heart wouldn't stop racing. Karen had crossed the line. This wasn't just about my pigs anymore. She wanted me gone. And the scariest part? She wasn't done. The next morning, I woke up to a sound that made my stomach drop. I bolted upright. That was the sound of heavy machinery. I threw on a hoodie and ran to my front door, just in time to see a bulldozer pulling up in front of my house. A bulldozer. And standing next to it, Karen, smirking like the devil herself. I flew down my porch steps. What the hell is going on? A man in a construction vest turned to me, looking apologetic. "Ma'am, we're here under orders from the HOA. Apparently, you have an unauthorized structure in violation of community guidelines." I blinked. "What structure?" Karen's smirk grew. She pointed at my fenced-in backyard. The illegal pig enclosure, of course. My vision went red. "You can't be serious." I turned to the construction worker. "That's been there for years. The HOA already approved it when I moved in." He hesitated. Well, I don't know about that. But we were given paperwork showing it's in violation now." Karen waved a stack of documents in my face. "I did a little digging," she purred. "And wouldn't you know it? The HOA's rules were updated last month. All animal enclosures must be approved again." I snatched the papers from her hands, scanning them quickly. Sure enough, the rule had changed. The problem? I was never notified. I clenched my fists. "This is targeted harassment. You changed the rule just to screw me over." Karen shrugged. "Prove it." I wanted to scream. I turned back to the construction worker. "If you touch my fence, I'll have you sued for destruction of property." He sighed. "Look, I don't want any trouble, lady. But if I don't do this, the HOA can fine me." Karen folded her arms. "And speaking of fines, as of today, you officially owe $500 a day for every day that fence remains up." My jaw dropped. $500. Oh, and one more thing. She smiled innocently. Failure to comply means the HOA has the right to place a lien on your house. My stomach plummeted. A lien. If they placed a lien on my house, it could lead to foreclosure. They were trying to steal my home. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. She wanted me to panic. Instead, I turned on my camera. "Karen," I said sweetly, "can you repeat all of that for the record? You know, for when I take this to court." Her smile vanished. No, don't stop now. I zoomed in on her face. "I'd love to get your admission of fraud on tape." Karen spun on her heel. "This conversation is over." She stalked off, barking at the construction crew to hold off for now. I exhaled slowly. I had bought time, but not much. Because now, the HOA was playing dirty. And I was going to have to outsmart them if I wanted to save my home. Karen had played her hand. She thought she could bulldoze my property, drain my bank account, and push me out of my own home. But she underestimated one thing. I wasn't going down without a fight. And if she wanted a war, she just got one. The moment Karen stomped away, I sprang into action. I called the HOA's office, demanding a copy of the rule change notification. They fumbled. They stalled. And finally, they admitted there was no record of me ever being notified. Bingo! They had illegally changed the rule without informing homeowners. That meant their threats, the fines, the lien, the bulldozer, were all built on a fraudulent foundation. I had them now. But I didn't stop there. I spent the rest of the day gathering evidence. Every email, letter, and document proving my fence was previously approved. Video recordings of Karen's harassment and the police incident. Testimonies from neighbors who saw her weaponizing the HOA against me. By the time I was done, I had enough proof to bury them. The next morning, I marched into the county courthouse. I wasn't just defending myself. I was suing the HOA. Fraud. Harassment. Illegal fines. I filed a formal lawsuit and requested a temporary restraining order to stop them from touching my property until the case was settled. It took less than 24 hours for a judge to sign off on it. When Karen got served with the lawsuit, she lost it. I was outside when she came storming up my driveway, HOA board members trailing behind her like lost puppies. "You think you can sue us?" she shrieked, waving the papers in my face. I leaned against my fence, grinning. "I don't think, Karen." "I know." She was seething. "This is a waste of time. You won't win." I raised an eyebrow. "Then why do you look so nervous?" One of the HOA board members cleared his throat. "Look, maybe we can negotiate before." Karen spun around. "No. We are not backing down." I smirked. "Cool. Then I'll see you in court." What happened next? Well, let's just say Karen made the biggest mistake of her life. If Karen thought she could scare me into backing down, she was dead wrong. I had the law on my side, and more importantly, I had the internet. Because while she was busy scheming, I was busy exposing her. The day after I filed the lawsuit, I uploaded a video. It had everything. Footage of the 2 a.m. police incident. The HOA trying to bulldoze my fence. Karen's own words threatening me on my property. I laid out the entire story, how the HOA changed the rules without notifying homeowners, how they falsely fined me, and how they tried to steal my home. And the title, HOA Karen tried to destroy my life, now I'm suing her. The video went viral overnight. Comments flooded in. "She's evil. I hope you take them for everything they have. This is straight-up harassment. HOA abuse needs to stop. Expose her face. The world needs to know what she did." By morning, local news stations were reaching out. And Karen, she was panicking. I was sitting on my porch, sipping coffee, when I saw her car peel into my driveway. She stumbled out, frantic, gripping her phone like it was her lifeline. "Take it down," she hissed the second she reached me. I took another sip of coffee. "Good morning, Karen." Her face twitched. I said, "Take the video down." "Oh." I nodded slowly. You mean the one where you tried to ruin my life? The one where you got caught lying to the police and trying to steal my property? She gritted her teeth. You don't understand what you've done. Oh, I understand perfectly, I said sweetly. But I don't think you do. I turned my phone around. On the screen, a news article. Local HOA faces lawsuit after viral video exposes shocking harassment. Karen's face went white. She snatched her phone and frantically scrolled. I could see the headlines reflecting in her panicked eyes. HOA president faces backlash after viral scandal. Lawsuit filed against HOA for fraudulent rule changes. Woman sues HOA after board tries to bulldoze her property. She looked up at me, rage and fear warring on her face. You have to fix this. I leaned back, stretching lazily. Oh, I don't think I do. In fact, I think I'll let the entire world watch you crash and burn. Karen lost it. She let out a frustrated scream and turned on her heel. This isn't over. But we both knew. It was. Karen was done. She just didn't know it yet. The lawsuit was moving forward, the internet had turned against her, and her own HOA board members were starting to jump ship. All that was left. Delivering the final blow. 1 week later, I arrived at the courthouse. Karen was already there, standing with her lawyer, some smug guy in an overpriced suit. She glared daggers at me as I walked in, but I just smiled. Because today, she was going to lose everything. The hearing was brutal, for her. My lawyer presented all the evidence. The illegally changed rules. The fake fines. The harassment and threats. The attempt to destroy my property. Then, he dropped the bombshell. Your Honor, we'd like to submit into evidence a statement from the County Records Office. It shows that the HOA's revised rules were never properly filed with the city, meaning they are legally unenforceable. Karen's lawyer froze. Karen. She looked like she was about to throw up. The judge flipped through the documents, nodding. This is very serious. Not only does it invalidate the fines, but it also suggests potential fraud on the HOA's part. Karen's lawyer scrambled to object, but the judge wasn't having it. Within minutes, the court ruled in my favor. The HOA was forced to drop all fines, remove the threat of a lien, and, best of all, Karen was personally held liable for harassment. She had to pay me damages out of her own pocket. I could see the life drain from her face as the judge delivered the final ruling. It was over. But it gets better. Karen didn't just lose in court. She lost everything. The lawsuit had exposed so much dirt on the HOA that homeowners banded together to vote out the entire board. And Karen, she wasn't just removed. She was banned from ever serving on the HOA again. Humiliated. Powerless. Defeated. The last time I saw her, she was packing up her house, moving out of the neighborhood for good. And my pigs, still happily living in my backyard, without a single HOA rule to stop them. So, what's the lesson here? Never let an HOA bully you. Because sometimes, the best revenge is exposing the truth. Smiling face with horns.